welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the house LRAD, it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise. And, well, so today there was quite a large protest. And one of the things that I've been hearing some discussion of since, is the trouble with, liberals and Democrats trying to hijack movements and sort of turn them into something that is just going to be another get-out-the-vote effort for the Democratic Party. And it seems to me that is something we have to figure out ways to do. And I had one thought that I just saw a friend posted this a few minutes ago, and one thought occurred to me I just wanted to mention, which is one of the problems we have is that a lot of people really have only ever really experienced AstroTurf. There are a lot of people who have never actually experienced the difference between an organization that is really that is really organized to provide to create resistance and build power independently of the ruling class. And the result of that is it's very easy for people to fall for something that sounds like that uses the aesthetic of that, but does not actually do that. And I think we need to be finding ways to create opportunities for people who have not previously experienced that to experience that, so they can actually know the difference between pretending to be defiant and actually doing it. Bonsoir, yeah. So that was just a random thought that I had. Was anyone at the protest today? And the one for Gaza we watched actually on my afternoon stream while I was playing GeoGuessr, and looked like a pretty good turnout, actually. They were saying something about 10,000 or so. Or tens of thousands, I think. It's hard to see because they didn't have any aerial footage, but it looked like a pretty big march anyway. Now, yesterday, if you were there, we were looking at the really impressive bluster that Ethan Klein's lawyer came up with to threaten Noah Samson with a bogus libel suit. And in that letter, where he does not actually make any serious effort to refute any of the points that he's calling defamatory that were made about Ethan by Noah Samson in the video about YouTubers who are backing a genocide. But he said that the whole refutation of the idea that he could possibly be backing a genocide is contained in one 55-second segment of the 1 hour and 42 minute and 6 second content nuke. And I looked at that last night, and I couldn't find that. So I thought we might start out just by looking at those 55 seconds. These are the 55 seconds where Ethan essentially lays out his liberal Zionist credentials. So we're going to just start out with that, and we've got some other stuff to look at too. Okay, I gotta back it up. It was like 17. Here we go, 1702. This is about the beginning of it.
To not feel safe as an ethnic minority, even a little bit. Crazy for them to not feel overwhelmed from Arab countries. Is it really that crazy for them to not feel safe as an ethnic minority, even a little bit? And that's pretty much the entirety of our disagreement. Despite what you've read on TikTok and Twitter, I've donated $6,500.
Yeah, okay, this is the first thing. He donated what is probably actually a very small amount of money for his rich ass to a Gaza charity. And, I mean, it's good that he did that. It is absolutely good that he did that. But that does not actually change any of the other shit he did.
Palestinian charity after the war started.
Hey, Ethan Klein, thank you for the dono. Ethan Klein gave $6,500. My goat. Thank you, Ethan.
Condemned Netanyahu as a war criminal.
I mean, which again, this really does not absolve him of any of what he did, because a lot of people who are actually, first of all, the issue is a lot of the time Netanyahu is used as sort of a scapegoat. The idea being that supposedly this whole thing is down to him, when the alleged opposition has been in the war cabinet with him, making all of these decisions right along with him. So saying Netanyahu is a war criminal is not the same thing as actually opposing the genocide or even acknowledging the genocide. I mean, yes, Netanyahu totally is a war criminal. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But that's absolutely not the same thing as actually taking a strong stand and saying this is a genocide and being against it.
They're led by Netanyahu, who should resign in disgrace and go to prison for being a war criminal. Called the West Bank settlements an abomination. Settlers in the West Bank are religious zealots.
You'll notice we haven't heard anything about Gaza in this 55 seconds that is supposedly the total refutation of the idea that Ethan in any way backed a genocide.
Monsters, they're genocidal. I've even said the West Bank settlers are valid military targets. When you talk about
Yeah, I mean, at least some of them certainly are under international law. Yeah, I mean, not a bad take at all, but that does not actually address the issue. We're talking about, first of all, we're not talking about with the West Bank so much. We're talking about Gaza.
Colonial settlers and stuff, that's what's actually happening in the West Bank right now. And these people are more or less valid military targets, in my opinion. My only crime is wanting a two-state solution.
Apartheid.
Instead of one.
Well, which is, first of all, I mean, that is liberal Zionism right there. That is apartheid. And again, okay, remember, we are nearly all the way through the 55 seconds.
Thinking it's not okay to kill Israeli civilians. That's it. That's why they're calling me a Nazi Zionist.
Well, I mean, they're calling you a Zionist because by your own admission you are one.
Because of Hassan and others spreading this malicious lie about my beliefs.
That's not a malicious lie, though. It's not even a fucking lie. It is literally accurate. You want to have the fucking Zionist ethno-state remain.
Even getting harassed on the streets.
Okay, and that is the entire section. And then we move over to this, where he, misrepresents this guy who hates Hassan as, some sort of Hassan groupie who Hassan, using his magic powers, hypnotized into harassing Ethan. But yeah, that is the whole thing. And the wildest thing, I went back and I just looked over the videos again after reading that lawyer's letter. If you actually watch, hey, Noel Jaguara, ¿cómo estás? And hey, Reveroon too, nice seeing you again. If you actually go back and watch the the follow-up video that Noah Sampson did, saying, the pro-genocide YouTubers responded, he provides what is called, in libel law, context material. He very clearly lays out what he's saying when he says somebody backs a genocide. And he specifically says that what he means by that is not necessarily somebody coming out and saying, hi, I like genocide, this is a neat genocide, I'm for it. But people who are, like, spreading propaganda that is used to justify it, which is something Ethan has definitely fucking done. Absolutely fucking done. I mean, if this were actually to go to trial, he would have to deal with the fact that that video was already out there. That video, which, it's worth noting, doesn't seem to have been mentioned at all, at least in what we saw of the lawyer's letter, which is a really strange omission, because that is something his lawyer would absolutely have to deal with in court. Because the follow-up provides context. Like, the whole video provides context. It is very clear what he means by it. But, okay, so I just wanted to show you that. Now, there are a few things I've found to look at, and one thing I thought would be interesting to check out. This is a video that just showed up in my recommendations, and I call it Serendipity. It is a channel I've never heard of called Tech Ingredients, but it's talking about how to defeat LRADs. And I think that is something that's probably worth checking out. What does everybody think? Got a bunch of other stuff too, and it's a relatively short video. But, I mean, I'm kind of interested in seeing what they have to say about it. What I've heard so far, you know, any acoustic barrier material will weaken the sound waves. But, I mean, what else they might have to say about it, I'm quite interested in. So, what's everyone think? Shall we check that out? Neat. The algorithm knows us so well. Okay, I'm gonna put it on. I'm really curious about this, and who knows? Maybe it's news we can use. This is Tech Ingredients. I've never heard of this channel. I don't know anything about them, but here's the video link for anyone who hasn't got it in their recommendations. Let's have a look. I'm pumped. I'm rooting for this video, which is not something you see me do very often on this channel. But there are videos I really root for, and if this one is actually good advice on dealing with LRADs and stuff like that, I mean, I think that's great. Oh wait, okay. So what, they've actually got an LRAD device that they're testing out? Okay, this is promising. This is extremely promising.
Hi. We've done a couple of videos on LRAD, which stands for Long Range Acoustic Device.
It sounds like, it also sounds like the head of Scientology, LRAD Hubbard.
The videos were very popular.
And if you've ever heard him sing, incidentally, L. Ron Hubbard, he has a fucking album. You could actually say it is an acoustic weapon, like the LRAD.
A lot of positive comments, but we got a number of very negative comments. The theme behind those negative impressions was that producing, generating, and instructing people on how these work indicated our political stance, and that's not true. I can demonstrate how to throw a punch or how to throw a block.
Okay, from which we learn, actually, that's not a great, that is, at least in Taekwondo, we would not do it that way because you're opening up all of the vascular areas of your wrist to attack. Those are all soft areas, pressure points, and you want the bony bit to block with.
Both of those techniques can be used for defensive purposes because at this channel, we believe in the non-aggression principle.
Okay, so we're talking about, yeah, okay, so these are right libertarians, which, I mean, in a lot of the sort of tech world, there's a fair number of them. So politically, we probably wouldn't get on, but if this guy's an engineer who knows what he's talking about with LRADs, That's still
Do
useful
not
information.
initiate force against another. Walk softly, but carry a big stick. And so in the first video where we showed you some of the physical principles of how acoustic projectors work and went through the construction and assembly of this unit and how...
Holy shit, they show how to build one of the fucking things? That's wild. That is wild.
You can put one of these things...
No, but I mean, this is... I was just saying this in a piece that I wrote about how we need to do more in order to stop the genocide and stuff like that, and how it is very daunting. We have to actually understand how to do certain things that we don't know how to do if we're going to do that. And I made the point that YouTube is a weird place because it is full of the wildest bullshit ever, as we see every week, 2 nights a week on this stream, but it also has really amazing tutorial content. Like, my Rex served me up a video on how to build a fucking quadcopter for $150 in parts and a little bit of soldering knowledge. Yeah, but you can hear, just from the way that the sound his shirt was making, I mean, those were legit techniques. And he clearly does train.
Together for a low cost. In the second video, we went out in the field and in an industrial park, took this behind our warehouse and demonstrated it to a bunch of volunteers. We had a lot of fun. Today, what I'm going to do is show you some techniques that can...
So, he shows you how to build a fucking LRAD. That would be fun at a Fash demo. I mean, why should the filth have all the fun?
Used to defend or protect yourself against high acoustic pressure projectors. And so the simplest technique is to use distance. Farther away from the source that you get, the quieter it gets. And the sound...
But of course that is also, I mean, there are situations in which that is exactly what you don't want to do because they're trying to keep you away from something and you want to be there.
Pressure will drop 6 decibels every time you double your distance from the source. So distance is great, but sometimes you don't have the flexibility or ability to get away from it or get away quickly enough. Another technique is to use...
How to take on a swarm of robot dogs. Interesting.
Earplugs. These are just standard foam plugs that insert in your ears. They're very good sound obstruction methods.
Yeah, of course, the thing is, hearing loss is the least of it. Because that high sound pressure, when it's really dialed up, can potentially just cause regular-ass tissue disruption. So you have to be looking for more than that. But, I mean, the earplugs are not a bad thing at all, certainly.
And they're disposable and very lightweight. You can put them in your pocket. Another technique is just a standard pair of shop headphones. Use these whenever you're going to be using a saw or something that generates a lot of noise and you want to protect your hearing. Very inexpensive. Another technique is to use electronic headphones. Now,
noise canceling, yeah.
Sort of phase interference methodology that, say, Bose uses in its acoustic headphones, where you're actually producing a negative phase sound to generate to...
Wait, an animated anti-robot dogs video that looks like a retro PSA? Neat.
To nullify the sound pressure around you. What these are is simply very good mechanical headphones that include both a speaker and a microphone that allow you to dial up your ability to detect ambient sound up to 4 times as loud as your normal hearing. You can actually hear better with these on. But they reach a threshold, and so above a certain point, they won't amplify anymore. So they protect your ears from loud sounds, but allow you to hear the ambient sounds. These Howard Light headphones cost about $60, and they're frequently used by shooters at a range.
I was going to say, those look like range headphones.
Around you, the instructors, other people on the range.
If you watch, like, Tactical Girlfriend, which is a great channel, I highly recommend it. I mean, she has a whole thing on, like, acoustic protection and stuff like that. Very worth checking out.
Another technique is to use a face shield. There might be some ability with a simple face shield to protect you because it may, in fact, deflect some of the sound pressure away from your ears. We're going to test that today. And finally, we're going to test a polycarbonate riot shield, see if that has the same effect as this or even better. And so in order to do the tests, what we're going to do is set this up outside, and at a distance, I'm going to have Alex stand away from the projector, and we're going to see how close, at a very low setting, he can comfortably get with certain levels of protection and see what the effectiveness of these different techniques turns out to be. So let's get this set up outside and we'll start the demonstrations. All right, we've got it set up now. So what I've done is I've turned this way down to only 10% output. Obviously, I don't want to hurt anybody. And Alex is standing about 20 meters away, and we're going to have him approach this.
Like, what is the max output on that thing, though?
Until he gets to the point where he says, I can't stand this anymore, and I'll turn it off. Right now, he's not wearing anything, just normal, natural hearing. So here we go.
Like, what I want to know is how they protected the microphones for this, though. Because he's got like a lavalier mic on there. Is that thing gonna get blown out by this thing? Are we going to get blown out by this thing? I mean, the sound quality is good, so he must have edited it, right? Oh, thank you, Riveroon. Yeah, great channel to check out if you want to have a sort of politically sound channel that is all about pretty much all to do with firearm safety and stuff like that. Really good channel. Highly recommended. Okay, that's really annoying.
All right, so we have a little marker, nothing. All right. All right, now the next step is he's going to put some of the ear foam obstructors in, and let's see how that sounds.
Okay, and so, I mean, one thing to note again is that these obstructors and stuff, he's dealing specifically with the issue of hearing damage, which is a definite issue with this type of sound-based weapon. But it is not the only issue, especially when you get it up to the higher sound pressure levels. But the same principles apply. Acoustic barriers are acoustic barriers. If you stand, for example, behind a hard object, that's going to deflect sound.
Ready?
Okay.
All right, so let's mark where the plugs are.
And of course, again, he's keeping this at a low level specifically because he doesn't want anyone to get hurt. And of course, what you'd have to deal with at a protest with the cops is not necessarily people who give a shit about anyone getting hurt. So, I mean, the ratios will still apply because it's still, again, an acoustic barrier, but the distances probably will not.
Now, if you look, because he's about twice as close, that means he's got about 6 decibels more sound protection from the earplugs. The next is going to be a standard set of shop headphones.
Okay, so he's getting right up to it there.
Earplugs are supposed to protect pretty well. Probably the fact that they don't wrap around the head very well. Now, if this keeps getting closer and closer, I may actually turn the volume up as we get to more effective sound protection. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try the electronic headphones. And he's going to have it dialed off, so they're just basically a pair of plain headphones without any electronic system running.
So a pure acoustic barrier. Okay, cool. Let's see. I will recommend some headphones that are that, but also, are Bluetooth headphones. If you look for the Edifier headphones, they're a bit pricey, but I mean, they're not like ridiculously expensive, high-end ones, but they're a bit pricey. And they do an excellent job of noise cancellation, and you can like put music on and stuff. Yeah, they're really good. Like, I use them sometimes when doing, like, mowing the lawn or something like that, and yeah, I can barely hear the engine. Okay, not bad. Okay, so slightly less protection than the standard standard headphones. Oh, not HP the brand, HP for headphones.
So it turns out they work just about as...
Hexen Definitive, who was in chat on the language stream, which Nwari, if you see in the Discord, go to the link. There was actually that was a cool stream actually. You should check it out. Especially if you get to the part with Langua, the app, because there was a very funny scene that is much funnier if you know Spanish and know Chilean Spanish and know what I was saying to this fucking AI chatbot that is there for people to practice languages on. I was just trying to test out how ridiculous I could get and see if it would follow me along with it. And I got pretty ridiculous.
As effectively as the very inexpensive shop headphones without the electronic feature. Now what he's going to do is he's going to hook up the microphone and see if that interferes with it or it still operates just as well. All right, here we go.
I mean, it occurs to me another test that would be really worth doing as well, since they've got this building right there. In terms of testing barriers, is aim it at the building and see, standing with, look, it's useful because it's different kinds of building materials. You got glass, you got wood, you got like some kind of prefab stuff, and see how well that barrier works. But it's a 17-minute, 55-second video, so maybe we actually... And maybe he's gonna try other stuff like that. Oh wait, so the active noise canceling is worse?
That's interesting. So with the electronic headphones switched on, the amplification ceiling doesn't seem to be working. If anything, it's amplifying everything, and it's worse than not even wearing the headphones.
That is very useful information right there. Although, I imagine those things have settings, and maybe he's got the wrong settings or something like that. I don't know.
That's interesting. All right, before we start this test with just the face shield and no hearing protection, I'm just going to review those four markers that we have on the ground. The very worst was the electronic headphones with their electronic feature enabled. The next is without hearing protection. The next is wearing the ear plugs.
Maybe he had amplification turned on.
The foam plugs. And finally, just the inexpensive pair of shop headphones. Now he's just got the face shield on with no hearing protection.
Okay. So the face shield's useless.
Looks like the face shield might have benefited him a little bit, but not much. It's a close call. All right, so now no hearing protection and the riot shield.
Oh, I see. Now I understand what he's doing. He's trying it. He's trying to see the experience of doing that with and without. I was wondering, because he keeps on doing this like, you know, he's about to go jousting. But yeah, so he's doing it with and without to see if it makes a difference. Not as good as plugs. Interesting. Oh, okay, slightly better than plugs. Okay, this is interesting because, I mean, let's keep in mind, a lot of the time when something like this is deployed at a protest, the cops will have their riot shields out. But they will be in front of the speaker. The speaker will be behind them. So the speaker, the sound is going to be echoing back at them off of that shield. So it might actually be making it worse for them.
That's interesting. So the face shield obviously helped a little bit, but the riot shield seemed to make a really big difference. And I guess the final test is to combine the very best of both. We'll use the standard set of headphones. We'll go ahead and we'll test it with the riot shield and see how much closer he can get. We might also adjust the volume up and see if we can determine at a greater distance where the limit is with that compared to, say, the limit without any kind of protection at all.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely, like, just stand the closest you can get and then turn it up to see how far you can turn it up before it becomes unbearable.
Oh, which might be kind of interesting.
That would... Well, we got 8 minutes, so...
He's coming quickly and he's smiling.
Okay. Okay, there we go. So, that's useful info right there.
All right, I think we have our answer. Clearly, the riot shield and the standard headphones are overwhelmingly good. I think what might be kind of interesting, just to do another test before we review the overall, is I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit and set him all the way back and find out if we can actually keep him away from this system if we have that kind of level of protection. And I'm going to turn this thing up to...
Okay. See, I'm glad that I picked this video, because this is very interesting stuff.
Beyond stun. Whoa.
Oh, we're taking it...
This right now is at about 50%. That's a pretty loud level.
I really have to say that I'm glad that when they took this into post, they adjusted the noise levels so that this is just... For us, it's just as loud as the other one, which makes it just mild annoyance. Okay, right up to it. DGAF.
Is that max volume?
I didn't go to max.
Oh, then is it max?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to try max.
Okay.
Okay.
Like...
All right, back up just in case, because this is kind of sketchy.
It would be interesting to know what max is. Maybe he's going to tell us. Because... There are definitely, like, industrial safety standards that'll tell you the different levels of, different, like, decibel levels of sound pressure that it takes before it starts doing serious damage and stuff like that.
All right. And make sure you're ready. That was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he still got up pretty close on that unit.
So it looks like if you wear the regular set of headphones and the Riot Shield, you can basically get close enough, you can almost touch the LRAD, and that thing is putting out 153 decibels at 1 meter, which, without any kind of hearing protection, that will damage your eardrums. So, not a bad combination. And also, in your opinion, if you take off the headphones so you can hear me, do you think that the face shield did anything?
Yes, but not nearly as much as the Riot Shield. And what's good about the Riot Shield is you can sort of direct it in front of your head.
And it occurs to me the advantage of the Riot Shield versus the face shield would also be you can move it out. So the deflection, like the face shield is right up at you. So whatever is happening with the sound waves is happening right by your face anyway, right by your ears. But if you push that shield out, then it's deflecting farther away from your person.
The face shield, if you happen to turn the wrong direction, you're screwed. That you can sort of keep around you wherever the sound's coming from.
And you noticed that the face shield did make an effect, right?
Yeah, it definitely had an effect, but that's a lot better. Maybe the sound was able to sort of get around it more. There's less coverage area.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Riot Shield has. Headphone-wise, again, that electronic feature on the headphone, for some reason there's some feedback, I don't know what it is with the microphone or something like that, that it's actually way more painful than without headphones. It's worse than nothing.
Right, you couldn't even get as close.
Yeah.
Something else I noticed when you got close with the Riot Shield is that I could hear the sound much louder even with my own headphones on. It
was okay, so the Riot Shield was causing an echo.
Was reflecting off the Riot Shield, and it got a lot louder, which kind of suggests there might be...
So the Riot Shield is potentially like an active countermeasure.
A somewhat less passive means of dealing with this, and that is that the Riot Shield is designed as a curve to sort of diffuse whatever is going to strike it away from you. But I wonder if you were to turn the Riot Shield around and act as sort of a cylindrical reflector, if it would have an effect to actually send the sound back to the source. So one last test.
Oh, okay, this should be interesting.
I want to try is to see if he holds the Riot Shield in reverse, facing me.
Like a satellite dish.
Heck of a lot louder and almost
like an owl's eye, actually.
Unusable, the LRAD unusable to the person who's operating the controls. So that'll be the last test that we run here. So I got it up at full volume, so I'm going to definitely have these on. He's going to start from a fairly good distance away, and then as he approaches,
I mean, the other question that I've had about these is, okay, if you go to like Sodimac, or Home Depot or whatever, there is this like polyurethane foam that you can spray. Add to blacklist, another fucking link spammer. Because what occurs to me is, if you have one of these that is really large or something like that and is turned up to do tissue damage and stuff, what would work to actually block the sound at the origin? Like, would polyurethane foam sprayed into that grating cause enough disruption of the sound generating surface
to see if I can detect any kind of difference in the sound pressure
that would, to break it?
Oh. Wow.
Okay. So you can aim it.
Aim it right at me. That works. That is impressive, and it's very, very directional. When he took the Riot Shield and he was using it the way that it's intended to be used, I could definitely detect an increase in sound pressure, but again, with this protection behind the device, no problem. When he turned it around and it acted as a cylindrical reflector, it was highly directional. When he would move it around, I wouldn't notice anything, and then all of a sudden it would peak.
Very, very interesting.
And it got a lot louder, to the point where I actually had to throw my hand up, uncle. That's very interesting. So I suspect, were you noticing that you still had the same level of protection when it was in that direction, or not really a difference?
There's a difference with less than 5%. You can't really tell.
So you could use a riot shield in reverse, but it affects the person on the other side more aggressively. So that's kind of interesting. So anyway, we're not trying to create weapons. What we're basically doing is having a lot of fun messing around with the different kind of effects of these different ways to deal with the acoustic pressure from a really powerful device like this.
Yeah, I mean... Okay, I'm glad I checked out this video. I think this is very interesting.
You learned with us.
There are other channels that I could recommend as well that do versions of stuff like this. Like, not necessarily, not always specifically tech stuff, but other things. Like, there's a guy by the name of Deviant Olaf, who is what is called a physical pen tester. Which is to say, his job, which sounds like an absolute hoot, is he breaks into places in order to help the places figure out how to stop people breaking into places. And he gives talks about how he does it. And they rock. He's a great presenter. He actually seems to have very sound politics. He's actually been a really good source of updates on the situation with the executive orders about trans women in federal prisons, because a friend of his is in that situation, and he's been keeping us all up to date about what's going on with that. Seems like a good guy, very interesting information, well worth checking out. I'm gonna write that down. I've often thought about like watching one of those on stream.
That there's some interesting techniques that can be used not only to prevent you from damaging your hearing, but also to allow you to use the right equipment.
And also to dissuade people from using this shit against you.
So electronic headphones, wonderful in the shop. I love them and I use them all the time now, but definitely you wouldn't want to use them if you're going to be exposed to this. The system simply either isn't sensitive enough or isn't quick enough to deal with the chirp. That might be part of the problem, but in any case, definitely you wouldn't want to use those. The portable headphones, the little earplugs, are certainly nice because you can carry a pocket full of them. And the regular headphones for about $5 or $6. You can use them for a number of different purposes, and we're actually the most effective method. But the best method is stay out of situations where you're going to be facing one of these devices. They're obviously potentially harmful. They could be a little dangerous if you get very close. And I'm just going to advise everybody to stay safe, try to stay out of trouble.
Yes, thank you, Riveroon. That is the channel.
Care of yourselves. And
my favorite video on there is what's called "I'll Let Myself In: Techniques of Physical Pen Testers Tactics." And it's great. It rocks. We could just, fuck it. We could, if we can make the stream whatever we want it to be. So, what's everyone think, chat? You want to watch that? I can go either way. I got some Caleb, I got some other bullshit, or we could check that out. Okay, so that was, what's he called? Tech Ingredients. And I have to say, I'm subscribing. This looks like a very interesting channel. It sounds like politically we would probably disagree on many things, but technologically, very interesting stuff. So what's everyone think? We got a while to go. So wanna watch I'll Let Myself In? And it's cool shit. Or we could watch some let me see. We've got Ethan Klein reacts to Hassan's response to the content nuke. We've got Pim Tool having a normal one on the subject of the tariffs that his dude decided to come up with. And I don't know if you've heard what the deal with those tariffs is. The reason that there are uninhabited islands that have had tariffs assessed, even though they aren't sovereign countries, It turns out they used ChatGPT to generate a fucking Excel table. And ChatGPT did not go by country. It went by top-level domain. So, non-sovereign territories that have their own top-level domain got a tariff associated. We can always do two things. I don't know about Tokelau, but there was an Arctic island. Here we go. I'm going to look at least a little bit of this. I'm dropping the link in the chat right now. It was some Arctic island that has penguins and nothing else. But since it's also a research station, it has its own TLD, and because it has its own TLD, they insist tariffs on this island where nobody but penguins live, and it has never fucking imported or exported anything.
So we're doing this thing. Who's had a good time so far, Wild West Hackfest? Who's had trouble with the Wi-Fi? Who's a T-Mobile customer, so you have shit for service out here? Yes. Enjoy it. It's my thought that John's actual plan was just to bring us all here as the most elite friends who travel the world and have no service in place, so we have to use a Wi-Fi network. He's just playing it all as we speak. So, yeah, many of us have fun gigs, though. Many of us have really fun jobs. People come up to me a lot, and they say, "Oh my gosh, dude, physical security and breaking in, your job is so cool, I like it."
I mean, it does sound like a really cool fucking job.
And yes, I get it, right? Like, being the break-in guy is fun. If you've never met me, I run a code entry team, Robert, Bobek, and our crew of hooligans in places we shouldn't be. But the funny thing, people kind of romanticize this notion, like, yes, our ops division does very dynamic door kicker stuff. But for this one scene here, this was a photo shoot when an article came out about what we do. They were like, "Oh yeah, get some picks in your hands, right?" And so like, I'm here picking a door. Now, everyone has said to me, I'm known as this lockpicker. Like maybe I've talked to some of you about lockpicking.
Yeah, he has.
Like any of these animations.
He has tons of videos about lockpicking and how to like copy keys and stuff like that. How locks work. I mean, all sorts of useful stuff there.
The tool has on all of our slides. Like, if you've ever learned how a lock works, you see how the little pins and they bind, but they push up with a key.
Yeah.
And if I don't have a key, like how do I get?
Yeah. I mean, he has whole videos of this stuff on.
And the lock, like I've taught about lockpicking forever. And everyone thinks of me as this lockpicker, and they say, "Oh yes, like I'd love to have that job, man. Like that, you in a door at 2 in the morning with those picks out. I wish I could do that and get paid." Which, again, like sure, that's fun, and I have picked locks to get into secure spaces. But this shit here, manipulating the pins with like pick tools, it's something like the 9th thing on the list of stuff we try to get into buildings.
Yes, and this is going to be about the other 8 things, and it's amazing, actually, how easy
this is like the
apparently
last
it is.
lock-picking slide in the talk, because this is not a lock-picking talk. I know, hooray is what I say, because I'm so tired. Hey, you made it! I'm so tired of talking about lock-picking. I love when someone new is learning it, right? And if someone's never done this and they get it, and it's this whoa moment, that's fun.
Yeah.
But I gotta stop this illusion that we are picking lock. Like, how many times do you pick a door? You don't. Johnny, fuck, yeah. Vince and you, you don't really pick doors. This shit is great. That's not what we do. So let's talk about how physical pen testers actually get into buildings, how real covert entry tends to work, and how you fix almost all of it.
Yeah.
Dumb shit, right? Like right off the bat. I've legit knocked hinge pins out of doors. You just bang a hinge pin out, walk the door. I don't care how many locks are on the door. If you can
Yeah, if you just open the other side of the door, you're cool.
walk that door away from the frame, walk in. This is a thing that you can do with like a nail or a nice little orange tool so you don't bust up your fingers. But again,
there's a hinge pin remover.
all these locks on the door, what you don't see are hinges. Hinges are on the outside of this door. This is an absolute method that gets you into places. And stupid easy to fix. I'm giving you like easy.
Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead. It's a long video. And definitely well worth checking out. There's all sorts of just amazing stuff on this.
The client has, it's no problem. No, that is not how this is supposed to work. You are really undermining your security. Another door, another water facility, right? Nice lock. I mean, I'm a decent enough picker. I'm not going to try to pick this. Why not? Because boom, bad door fitment over and over and over. And like, you don't want me in there. I don't belong in this room. $5 hook gets me in when a nice lock could have prevented me if they had properly set the door up. Let's talk about this kind of door fitment problem. You got crash bars. Let's just reach through. You've told stories like this forever.
This is cool.
What
this
happened
part.
there? I was like talking to Point of Johnny, right? Let's watch that again. Crash bar. Let's get a bent rod and just slip it through and bam, hit the door. Right? Absolutely works. Why? Because weather stripping is not a security device.
Yeah, and apparently in California, there isn't even weather stripping.
It's not the same thing as a plate or even a movable astrogal of metal. If that is just rubber or that little brush material, if I can slip something through and smack on that crash bar, they make specially designed tools just for this. Here's Robert, one of our guys on our team, reaching through with a reinforced tool, hitting the crash bar, bam. Exit paddles, smaller target. How many times do you see glass door? Glass doors are wonderful because you can see exactly what you're hitting or not hitting. But going back, you can barely see. It's a really dark photo. You can't see it here easily. You can see it in the video, though. Sometimes, is this daytime or nighttime? What is it? It's not. It's like 3 in the morning. I know it's a little bit white out here, but it's very dark out. This is a low occupancy structure at night. What could they have done and not violated code? They could have set the deadbolt. It's right fucking there, right? Well, this tool, there's a tool that exists for this. The idea of a deadbolt, again, for code, many of these attacks, as y'all know, like fire code and actually egress like restrictions and allowances, you have to set up doors out of vapor, and all of a sudden this locked door is no longer locked.
Okay, here we go. This is what I was talking about.
But absolutely, like frameless glass doors, boom. Thumb turns. That's the only thing preventing anyone from getting in here, and the gap is like a ½ inch wide. Talk about another gap problem. Here's a locked door. There's some noise. And then Dr. Tran comes through like ninja in a cloud of smoke. What happened there? Many of you know this one already, I hope. This is a lab where we do a lot of prototyping, and we just showed, like Bobbick in the hat just showed Ross. And Ross is like, hey, building owner, Evan, come here. I want to show you this thing I just learned. So you'll see he's trying to do something with a tool up in the time. Bobbick says, no, reposition it a little bit out here. And look through the glass. You'll see the same thing. You'll see this sort of cloud of vapor. And all of a sudden, this locked door is no longer locked. Yay. Well, who knows what government. There's a very restricted government tool that they're using. I don't know if you can get it. Like, talk to someone you know who's kind of spooky. You can find out how to order this. It comes with a one-page...
It's just compressed air.
Idiot-proof government instruction manual that says hold tool like this. So all you're doing, if you invert one of these spray dusters, you're boiling off that R134A, essentially is what's in there. And you're creating this cold gas cloud. What's actually tripping? Many doors have sensors on the inside, especially electronic lock doors. They are called request to exit sensor. If you have a system where you badge in, but you don't have to badge out, you just walk to the door and just open it, you might not realize you have a request to exit sensor. You have most of the time.
All it does is it's detecting some presence on the other side and it just opens it.
A simple passive thermal sensor. It's not the only technology out there. It's far and away the most common one. And if you can get that sensor to trip, in this case just by blowing a cloud of gas through the door unlocks. These are old tricks. You should know them. Dave, if you saw his keynote this morning, he's a big, vape guy, he's a big e-cig guy. Oh yeah, so he and Ben 10 recorded, this is one of the best videos ever of it. So I don't know if you sub-ohm your coils or something, because he makes this amazing cloud through there. But he's just listening to hear that solenoid, he's listening to hear it trigger, and when he knows that electromagnet is done, bam, door's unlocked. Boom. Now
yeah, a real restricted government tool.
Yeah, Chris up here, I think he was like, "Hey Dave, you should try this on that door. This is totally we don't shit where we eat, right? This was the derby class, yeah. And I think eventually other people kept trying it until a point where there was staff in there, because it's like a staff area, and staff was like, "What's the smoke coming through the door?" They're freaking out. I don't smoke. I do drink too much. My wife caught this video.
That is the other thing he talks about a lot is whiskey.
We're walking home from a bar. This was late at night. This is a bank. The bank is closed. But I'm like, well, there is a rec sensor up there. And I had just kind of walked out of a bar with a drink. So I just spit that through the door, and that works. So yeah.
Wait, so just a booze cloud does it?
Man, passive infrared doesn't understand hot, cold. It just says different. Oh, different must be a human. This one up top here, the Honeywell passive infrared sensor. I guarantee you've seen it, or you've seen it rebranded and rebadged as somebody else's. Almost always white, sometimes you see them in black or beige. You will see that everywhere, all over the place. And why are they calibrated this way? Well, you don't want someone with a bunch of boxes to bang into the door and fall over.
Yeah.
These are tuned, and the installers mount them in a way to get the most wide spectrum hit, because they don't want to be called out repeatedly. Hey, the rec sensor's not working. It's not picking us up. It's causing, Mary just fell down with her cane and her walker. The installer doesn't want that. Installers and integrators want to always have these things trip. So you're going to see that on a lot of doors because it's got really good coverage, and you're going to always see it open the door. What is this on the bottom, though? That's your solution.
Interesting.
GE is the only one I've ever seen that reasonably brings to market a dual technology rec sensor. Yes, it does passive infrared. It also does microwave radar. So it has to see some temperature change, and it also has to see something vaguely human-sized coming vaguely toward the door.
Okay, I'm just skipping through this so you can
The
see.
freaking clip thing that looks very out of place on the doors, is that under door tools? And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, we have people breaking into rooms and stuff." I was like, "I gotta know where you get these. My clients could, because that would be a fucking nightmare trying to get an under door or over door attack." He's like, "Well, the closet in your bedroom with the sliding doors? Yeah, these are just those little feet that you put in the carpet on slide, literally at Home Depot, $4. They frustrate the hell out of me." And I've got because it's this crowd, I added some funny shit, right? Stealing keys. You think we're above just outright stealing stuff. This was the security cart on a facility once. We just found it, and I was on a job
lying
with a guy.
around.
I was actually subbed in on a job. Had every effing key, everything all over the building. And of course, yes, we stole it. I guess we're allowed to say, Jay wouldn't mind, I'm not going to say who it was, but eventually we just stole the cart and just drove it around. Because if you get to that point, on jobs where you're you've gotten everything and there's still time, and you call the client and you're like, "So we're in everything, they haven't stopped us. Do you want to start doing stupid shit?" And the client's like, "Yeah, just push it." So yeah, we literally took this little golf carty thing and drove it around the parking lot until it ran out of juice. And we were puttering back, not in uniform, no one stopped us. But I love that all the keys were there. Lock boxes. Oh my God, talk about stealing keys. Stealing keys from a lockbox. These show up on a ton of buildings, possibly your buildings. If you have infrastructure like cell towers and stuff on high buildings, and other contractors are coming in to service that gear, I bet you there's lockboxes somewhere that you might not even know about. There's 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different people have to get into this building. I can't even think of that many cable and wireless providers. I don't know what's going on here. These kind of boxes. Oh my God, telephony box.
This can keep going for a long time. It's a 45-minute video. But, it's just amazing stuff. And he has a whole channel of this stuff. He does these talks all over the place.
Right? this I just throw in because mostly, you know, Chris knows this guy in this slide. You guys, Dennis is a good cat, right? Dennis is standing next to a linear access control box. I am standing next to another brand called Door King. Let's talk about these two big players in the industry, just because this is stuff that's not usually in my slide deck. I just had to throw you some fun shit, right? Most of the stuff that cracks me up when it comes to stealing the key, like, I don't even think it counts as stealing in the instance of, like, linear. You got this nice lit up keypad, you got the little W grill. Linear boxes all have the same key.
That's great.
It used to be.
I mean, that's true with like lots of filing cabinets. Apparently, there is one key that like all sorts of manufacturers of locked filing cabinets all fucking use. He has a whole thing on that. There's
the A126 key. It's not really. It's the 222343 key. But if you Google like linear key or linear 222343 or linear A126, you'll get this key. It's the same key on all the frickin' panels. It's not a restricted key or an expensive key, but it lets you do crap like this. So here we have a locked door. Now my wife is going to enter through a different technique. Beep. Whoops. This is actually the apartment where we stuck Marcus Hutchins while he was waiting for trial, so we only got one key fob. We cloned it to her hand so she could come and go and have an extra key. But now I don't have the key fob. The door is locked. So what can I do? Well, linear boxes are all keyed alike. A126 key, there's a little momentary switch and just boom, flip the relay. So that works. Same key on all these boxes, man. Absolutely. So yeah, Door King, the one I'm standing next to here, I personally think Door King has even more market penetration. Do they have the same key? Yes, they do. The 16120 key, it's been the Door King key, I think, since 1992.
The wildest thing is yet to come,
I go
though.
to trade shows. I go to like the trade shows with all this gear, and the Door King booth is huge. And I just walk around and like use my key, just open stuff, and just walk away. Every few hours, just walk by the booth. This was like a giant parking gate arm, like a huge crash barrier thing, and it's again 16120 key. They're all the same key. Door King systems. Let's dive into this for a moment here. We got a lot going on here. All right. You can always tell a Door King system. Boom, 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 AZ call. Those three huge buttons. You'll spot them a mile away. Now there's not just that. We clearly have HID procs going on here. We'll talk about electronic credentials. But let's get right into it, all right? Let's use our 16120 key. Look at all these electronicals. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. We got a big bank of connections here. What's going on in this terminal block? Well, punch in Door King manual.p file type PDF in Google. You got a big manual with this on one of the pages.
Yeah, it is.
What's the most giant writing you see on this page?
Incredible what you can get with file type PDF on Google.
Relay 1, Relay 2. Those are
like if you want to research stuff that you think probably is difficult to find, documents, stuff like that, that is like deliberately being made difficult to locate, and you just do like a file type PDF on it, you can get just piles of interesting things.
Or relays, right?
I did a whole thing, it was a sort of a bit of investigative journalism type stuff that I did some years ago, where I was like trying to identify off the books detention facilities belonging to ICE, which were often, very often, privately owned, but owned by like small operations, not your like Core Civics or your Geo whatever the fuck they are again. Like just random people. In one case, a German film producer owned the building. And if you know what you're looking for, you do a file type PDF for the GSA lease on the property, and you can get that. That's public information, and Google will give it to you.
They're just dry contacts on the frickin' panel. So if you have like door relay 1, either normally open or normally closed, you can just bridge that circuit. And like, oh, boom, fire the relay, open the door. Fire relay 2, open that door. So in this case, do you see how this is wired, by the way? You can see one common, and you can see what? Normally open. So that tells you this is probably a solenoid-powered door lock. So normally there's no power. Put power just literally by bridging that with a piece of wire. The door suddenly is open. There's another useful feature, however, if you don't want to like carry around wire, and I'll show you what I carry around. Way up top. Let's look at this. PSW function. What is PSW? Oh, it's postal switch. A closure between these terminals and the common will cause whatever relays are set up, however they're set up, to fire.
Yeah, so that, like, the letter carriers can get in.
How does this normally work? In fact, is the postal switch wired up? Yes, it is. It's right there. A little white and a little blue. A little white and blue that come down. You got these two beam connectors, and they come somewhere else. Let's look all the way down the front. Amazingly low tech. This is the postal switch right here. It's literally just a momentary. And on the front of the panel, you'll see they have these knockouts that you can just bang out a piece of metal and install your own lock. And the tail piece of that lock just comes around and hits the momentary switch. Many, many door kings are installed this way. So we got a locked door. Now, of course, you know, we could clone the hid procs, we could install a sniffer, whatever we want. We don't really care what lock they're using for the postal switch, because it could be a good lock, it could be a bad lock, I don't give a damn, because I have the 16120 key. Oh no! Oh, laptop. Don't do things that laptops sometimes do. You're killing me. Who's pwning my laptop? So ultimately here, hopefully we can get into play, because it's really hilarious. This is outside of, like, Romer's apartment, I think. We're in town for band practice, and, you know, we called him up, he wasn't answering. Like, try Shaggy, he wasn't answering. And I was like, do you want me to just let us in? So, you know, we walked inside. So, you know, we have this postal switch. Let's see if my 16120 key works, if our video plays nice. Here we go. Momentary switch, fires, doors unlocked. How many buildings have these on them and people don't realize?
Yeah.
Many times it's not like your office, right? It might just be the front vestibule.
I mean, this is a few years old. Who knows? I mean, you would think that maybe these companies would say, wait a second, maybe it's not a great idea security-wise to have all of these things take the same key when you can just go in and press a button and open the door even if you shouldn't be in there.
But if I can get in, if I can leverage this access in and find a way, then I get the next step, I ride the elevator, etc. If you're keeping keys like on you...
He has a whole thing on elevators that is fascinating.
Oh my God. There's a whole talk I did with Howard Payne. The CH751 is like the everything key. It's the most common key in this country for all kind of dumb stuff. Every little wafer lock, everything like steal toilet paper. I don't know what you're doing. If you're, you know, you live in a trailer, you need toilet paper. I'll steal it from this hotel, whatever.
Yeah.
Like the CH751, my favorite story was we were on a job, we got into an office, like a room in this office building, and there were all these filing cabinets on the wall. And we're like, whew, I don't want to pick every one of these open to see which one has the valuable shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, they all.
Let's try a CH751. Totally worked. And it turns out every one of them had valuable shit. It was like their HR archives going back years.
Jesus.
The great part, and I just added this story because KJO gave his talk, and he talked about finding the exploit from...
See, I mean, this is also the thing. I mean, this is capitalism, too, because, like... I can tell the reason why they did not go and, like, put different locks on all of these things, because then you have to pay somebody to put those locks in, you have to pay somebody to make those keys, you have to make copies of those keys for everybody who's supposed to have them, and, I mean, there's already a lock on there. Your C-suite executives are going to be like, why the hell are we spending all this money on locks? These things already have locks, and... What do you mean they all take the same key? That can't possibly be true. That would...
Last job you were on, like still on the server. We found this. We showed the client. We're like, boy, these are really terrible filing cabinets, and you're leaving this around in a room that we just waltzed in. So the client was like, oh my God, we'll get on that. We were hired 7 months later to a different office, and we got into like another room, and we're like, whoa, look at all these filing cabinets. And we opened them, we're like, are these the same Wow, these are the same filing cabinets. They had moved them from one office to another office, but didn't actually change them. So we had the same finding, just in a different state. CH751.
Yeah, see, I mean, again, there's capitalism working. They were like, okay, well, we don't want to get rid of these. Are filing cabinets. We don't want to get rid of them. They're still good. We'll just put them someplace else. Now, look, our security audit passed with flying colors. But they're in another place we own in another state. But there's no security audit there yet, so that's not a problem.
All day long. For maximum low-larity in the key-to-like space.
This is the amazing
stick
one.
1284X into your Google engine, right? Look at some image searches. You're seeing a lot of the same vehicle here. The 1284X is the Ford Motor Company's fleet key.
Ford has a key that will open all their fucking locks.
Number of Crown Vics and Excursions and Explorers in this country that are key alike to 1284X. Tons of police departments in this country will all, and not even knowing it, that all of their cruisers.
I'm just. This is just information about how locks work. I mean, I would never suggest anyone do anything like nefarious with this sort of information. It's just a very interesting thing about how locks work.
Are the same key. And what's the most common use of a Crown Vic after it's got enough use hours and they have to kick it out of the force? Taxis. They auction them off and make them become taxis. There are cities in this country where the entire taxi fleet is key alike, and it's key alike to the entire police fleet. 1284X is not a restricted key. It's not a special, like, this is the paper still attached to it from Home Depot. You get a 1284X ticket to Home Depot, cut as many as you like. Yes, it will open the doors. Yes, it will open the glove box. Yes, it will open the trunk. Nothing interesting in a cop's trunk, right?
Oh, never.
And it's not a chipped key. It's not a key lock. It's nothing like that. Yes, it'll start the freaking car. So if you have cop friends, and we have plenty, show them the 1284.
I mean, it goes with the territory, I suppose.
It might pop their eyes out. If you're curious, my everyday key ring that sometimes people will see me with, they say, what do you actually have in your pocket all the time? Well, I have an elevator key, the most common elevator key on me at all times. I have the two most common filing cabinet keys, the C415A, CH751. I definitely carry that 1284X because it's funny, right? I have a couple jigglers.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly freak out your friends who drive Fords with that.
Not little tiny jigglers that we make if I can't get through a simple shitty lock. This is my wire bridge when I'm attacking Door King and other boxes. It's just a paper clip that I burned the insulation off the tips and looped it around. Door King key, if you didn't get it earlier, is the 16120. Linear, the 222343, which is some...
No, it's an original Door King key. It's got the logo and everything.
And a cuff key. That's my smash right there.
As in a handcuff key. He's got a whole thing. There's a whole video that he did on getting out of different models of handcuffs, like the most common handcuff models.
Devious key ring. Giving you pearls here. I don't think I've ever shown this slide before outside of our training, so woo, there you go.
I love that one of the key model serial numbers is fail. Like ugly.
Love you, John Strand, and everyone else who invited me here. If you are not an electronic person, in fact...
Okay, so I'm not going to show the whole video. There's just so much stuff, and it would just be me sort of staring at it and being impressed because I watched this video like 20 times. It's very interesting stuff. But I just wanted to tell you about that channel in case you hadn't heard of it. In the meantime, we got some Caleb to play us out for the last 10 minutes.
How are...
The show must go on, and his sound is atrocious. Like, usually it's his video that sucks. His video still sucks, but his sound is atrocious.
How are you doing? It is 10:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
How is it that he has never set up his camera to focus on his face? I remark on this every single fucking time. Because I just don't understand it. It is always focused on his books. He's always blurry. He's like the Pulgasari. The one North Korean kaiju movie. If you look it up, it's on YouTube. Pulgasari. And when you get close... And because their special effects technology, when they made this in the early 80s, wasn't all that great... The bigger the Pulgasari kaiju monster gets, the blurrier it gets.
I am in my lovely Brooklyn apartment. In New York City, there is a thunderstorm and lightning happening outside.
We've been having actually impressive weather. We keep on having tornado warnings around here. Some of them, you turn on like the local weather channel, and you hear places that are walking distance from you way too often to be very comfortable. I spent a lot of extra time in the basement this past week.
We are going to have yet another one of our great late night chats.
Oh, we're going to have one of our great late night chats.
Glad you're here. We're live on Rumble, we're live on Facebook, and we're live on the YouTube. Let's do it.
Spoken of the American century.
Okay, we can skip this shit.
We are entering can be and must be the century.
Things is the same way we always do them, which is I give my opening remarks, which is what I'm doing right now. And while the opening remarks are happening, you all are thinking...
We actually had a situation a couple of weeks ago where a fucking tornado touched down at Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Airport, which is, I don't know, half an hour from here, a little bit more. And the National Weather Service didn't even warn it. There was no fucking warning. It touched down at the literal international airport, and there was nothing. We heard about it days later.
Questions. And you were sending me those questions via Rumble rants on the Rumble, or you're sending me those questions via super chats, which you can't send on YouTube because we've been demonetized, so you're sending them to me on Cash App. Okay?
And then they're not super chats, they're like just cash apps.
Moppin22. The way that you can send questions, questions can be sent as Rumble rants.
You just said...
Or to Cash App Caleb Moppin22. That is the way that we can receive questions. Rumble rants or Cash App Caleb Moppin.
Why does he think that this... Look in the bottom right left corner. This picture of him makes him look so fucking shady. Like, yeah, but he uses it. I do not understand that.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Well, it doesn't help that, like, fucking Elon Musk and his little Nazi chud kindergarten that he's got fucking around with all the federal government departments has also been fucking around with the National Weather Service and the NOAA, i.e. the people whose job it is to make sure that we know when there's a fucking tornado half an hour away from us.
And it's the second half of the show and your questions that make everything what it is. So by all means, ask me some good questions in the second half of the show.
He's criticizing their questions in advance. Like, do the questions normally suck?
But yeah, good times. I spent the weekend in DC. I'll tell you about that a little bit. I got a couple things to talk about. I always think it's better to stream than not stream. Peter was going to stream tonight, and I figured I was tired from my trip. And I'm, as you can see, my face is red with allergies.
His face is normally red because he doesn't light the thing right.
Peter streamed, didn't want to compete with Peter, and I just wanted to rest. But Peter ended up not streaming tonight, and I figured, you know what? I can stream, so why not? It's lightning. I don't know if you just saw that. There was some lightning, and it's springtime.
Ja, hier auch. Also es regnet, es gießt in Strömen in den letzten Tagen.
Allergy season and all of that, but I'm here with all of you because talking to you all always generally inspires me.
Always generally. So what he's saying is that actually talking with you all does not? He's like, always? Nah, I can't say that. Generally. It generally inspires. Sometimes talking to you all really sucks sometimes. But every once in a while, you're kind of, I guess, inspiring.
I like being here with all of you. So yeah, we're going to have yet another great late night conversation. I'm glad that we can do that. Now, I did want to mention that we do have two important things that you should be aware of. Actually, really, three important things that you should... Four important... Five... No, I'm just kidding. We have a couple things.
Well, that is one of those rare times when he makes an actual joke.
The first thing to be aware of is coming up in April. April 19th, I'm going to be in Los Angeles.
Oh, that is handy. Okay, I'll have to let comrades in LA know.
don't normally get to Los Angeles, don't get to California that often, but we're having a workshop in the Los Angeles area. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Dan is very excited about it, and I'm very excited about it. That is in April. It's going to be tremendous. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, reach out if you got friends, comrades in LA. I mean, people ought to know about that.
I'm really, really looking forward to it. So I hope that you will join us.
So that we can have more embarrassing chants outside whatever fucking Airbnb he decides to have his 5-person seminar at.
Good. It's going to be good. And, oh, wow. Timoshenko, he sent a super chat via Cash App for what I was gonna announce anyway, which is coming up. Don't worry, Tim. We will announce that. I was already planning to announce that. But yeah, join us in Los Angeles, April 19th. In order to come, you need to register. Links are down below in the description. You can also use that QR code. On top of that, the biggest event of the
I
year
would not trust a QR code associated with Caleb Muppet.
It's going to be our upcoming convention. It will be the biggest event we have ever had.
The biggest event they would have ever had, so at least 20 people.
Center for Political Innovation. We've never had a bigger event. We're going to fill that auditorium with 400 people in Chicago, July 12th, 2025.
Midwest Conference Center in Northlake. Okay, so another thing to actually defeat the deep state.
It's gonna be.
Wait, is this AI slop too? Fucking hell, like. This isn't like a hard.
Absolutely awesome. It's going to be tremendous. I am really, really excited about it. I'm headed to Chicago this weekend to take a look at different things and get different things in order to make
the
sure.
The anti-globalism / imperialism convention too. Like, yeah, I mean, for a second I thought that was a photo of Chicago, but I mean the train is obviously wrong. And the buildings also. Yeah, it's AI slop. But it is time for me to wrap up. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you for joining me. And if you enjoyed the stream, please consider supporting my various projects if you can and would like to. Here's where you can do that, other than just becoming a patron or something like that. And I know everybody's fucked at the moment, and like even more so now. So like, if you can, yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to like send me money that they would regret having sent. But if you have the money to do it, and you would like to support the channel and support all the different things that I'm doing, then I always very much appreciate it. It definitely helps me out, and I think I've had a very productive couple of months. I've done, got the comic that I've started drawing, and like these learn languages from authentic materials videos and stuff, and then the stream is going really well and stuff. So have a good night, and I'll see you at Friday at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Friday, this coming one.